are perfect and I wish I were the same. Making bad decisions, it should be my middle name. I love playing with fire, it's my favorite. Watch it burn my whole house down, not feel a thing. One look in the mirror, don't like what I find. I know that somewhere in there there's a good guy, but he runs away at midnight. I'm sorry that I stole your car. Ain't got those tattoos on my arms that don't mean shit to me. Maybe you should pull the alarm, so I don't take it way too far. Die before I'm 23. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom.
Well, this is what happens when I'm out of my
Medicine, there's collateral damage, I gotta go.
I'm sorry that I stole your car. Ain't got those tattoos on my arms that don't mean shit to me. Maybe you should pull the alarm, so I don't take it way too far. Die before I'm 23. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. I'm sorry, Mom. Sitting at the same old workplace. What's the point of this chase? To just bite our old tail. Wishing that something would change, that we could turn back the page and live like our favorite fairy tales. So a love so free in a world of our fantasy, flying on dragons through sky-high cities. These are childhood dreams, it's how we used to be, when we were kings and queens in our childhood dreams. Oh, 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 our childhood dreams. Feeling, I feel so lightweight when I think back to those days, but then we went our own ways. I'm thinking about what needs to change, that we could turn back the page and live like our favorite fairy tales. So a love so free in a world of our fantasy, digging up treasures and sailing across the sea. These are childhood dreams, it's how we used to be, when we were kings and queens in our childhood dreams. Oh, 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 our childhood dreams. Our childhood dreams, it's how it used to be, when we were kings and queens in our childhood dreams. Every weekend is the same. I'm the one you're trying to claim. Yeah, I already know about your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. Call me up with no shame. All your words sound the same. Yeah, I already know about your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. If you come around just to play me.
Good evening, everyone, and welcome along to TTML Division 1. We are here for Season 3, Round 10 of the Championship, as we take in the Brazilian Grand Prix from the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. My name is James Hay, going to be taking you through the stream as always, and joining me in the commentary box, it's not a Tuesday without him, and it's Mr. Luke Etheridge. Luke, how you doing?
I'm very well, thanks. Good evening, James. Good evening to everyone who's watching. I always look forward to the Brazilian Grand Prix. Always seems to provide some good action, and traditionally, being near the end of the season, there's always a possibility that we could see titles get decided, and tonight could see the drivers and the constructors' titles both be won.
It could be indeed, and yeah, I think obviously coming into tonight, we'll go into the championship permutations with Perpetuum and everyone coming into tonight, but let's just take a reminder actually of what happened last week, because Mexico was one of those races where it was a bit wild and a bit wacky, but out on track, a really good result in the end, and winning out on track, of course, was, as I've turned off my Wi-Fi on my iPad, which is terrible, give me a second. I'll confirm for you. It's probably up on your screen right now. Verstappen out on top, Jojo second, and Perpetuum in third. It comes to show we're underprepared here in the commentary box tonight coming in. But Verstappen won. What did that do to the championship standings, I hear you ask? Well, the championship standings, Verstappen went up to fifth, onto 107 points, but Perpetuum leads on 177, Matthias in second on 132, Medium Pilot in third on 127, later and fourth on 121. They're the only guys that are within a mathematical chance of winning the championship out on track. But Perpetuum, 45 points clear of Matthias. All he has to do out on track is outscore Matthias by 22 points. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, basically a podium for Perpetuum with either a fastest lap or pole position is probably going to be the easiest way of doing it for him. Of course, if Matthias doesn't get pole position, then all Perpetuum needs to do is finish on the podium. He's been pretty consistent all season, and I did look throughout the 9 races that we've had so far this season. The only race so far which has had a result which would lead to the title going on to the next round at Abu Dhabi was Italy, where Matthias finished in second and Perpetuum finished down in 11th. So the Ferrari driver, he's just shown so much consistency this season. 6 podiums, the next highest is Medium Pilot on 5 pole positions, though. That is an extra 10 bonus points. Just done absolutely fantastically well in qualifying. Only won 1 race this season, but again, his consistency, despite that sort of off period in the middle where he still finished every race, so was still picking up points, he's been fantastic, and I expect to see him ending up claiming the championship tonight. Things are a bit more open maybe in the Constructors' Championship.
Yeah, Constructors' Championship coming into tonight, pretty much 3-4 constructors within a chance of possibly winning the championship out on track. Ferrari lead on 231 points, Racing Point in second on 213, Red Bull in third on 203, McLaren in fourth on 186. By my reckoning, that's only 55 points, I think, separating the top 4, which is not that much in terms of the constructors. Alfa Romeo on 5th on 172, Haas 6th on 159, Williams in 7th on 142, AlphaTauri in 8th on 118, Renault 9th on 46, and Mercedes in 10th on 34 points. Ferrari currently having the right of way of things currently. Of course, out on track, Papetum out on top in terms of the drivers' standings. And hopefully he's going to be picking up the championship here tonight. But his teammate Carlsbury, 54 points down to his name in 16th position coming into tonight. Ferrari have been very consistent, but Racing Point, in terms of their both drivers, outscoring Carlsbury. So what's gone wrong?
I think Carlsbury, he's had a bit of bad luck, and this 4 DNFs out of 8 races is never ideal. Again, everyone, apart from if you finish down in 20th place, scores points here in TTML. So that lack of picking up points on the odd occasion has hindered them ever so slightly. Racing Point, like you said, are pretty close. Red Bull in second place, 18 points behind at the moment, and Matthias and Noon shown some good form, particularly of late. And even if you go further down on the list, McLaren, maybe even Alfa Romeo, still with chances of taking this title. If for example, either a Perpetuum or Carlsbury doesn't finish tonight, that could be a big loss. And if we see some of those McLaren and Alfa Romeo drivers finish higher up the order, that could well go on to Abu Dhabi and could well keep us very busy next week. But before that, we've got the standard 18 minutes of qualifying, 36 laps around Brazil. Maybe we'll see the weather make a reappearance. There's always that possibility in the jungle here in Sao Paulo that you might just get that little bit of rain.
Yeah, you never know. Might end up like a 2008 or 2012 possibly coming out on track tonight. Of course, the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache, 4.3 kilometres and then 2.6 miles. 3 tyre compound, C1, C2 and C3 compounder tyres, as Luke mentioned, 36 laps and dynamic weather. So we could see 3 seasons, possibly within 1 around here. If not, like last night in League of Europe Formula 2, which I was commentating on, it might end up dry. So you never know what could actually happen out on track coming into tonight. And hopefully everyone is staying safe. I don't know what the delay is. I think we might be waiting on another driver to join up the lobby. So we should be up to 18 drivers very soon, if that's the case. But Luke, coming into tonight, obviously Perpetuum has pretty much got the championship nearly wrapped up, to be honest. But in terms of qualifying, what can we expect around here in terms of lap time?
Extremely fast. Probably the fastest lap times outside of Austria, what we've seen on this calendar this season. So getting space is going to be an absolute premium, finding that gap on the circuit. And again, if we do see some bad weather during qualifying, if it comes towards the end, if it starts off wet, you never quite know what the right system is going to be. I think we'll see everyone try and get through on the soft tyres. This is another one of those circuits where it is a fairly standard soft-medium strategy. What you usually see, drivers pitting off the soft tyres if you're in the top 10, probably getting rid of them around about lap 13, I'd say, at the earliest. You wouldn't want to push for mediums much longer than 22, 23 laps, but it's going to be close. One thing we can guarantee, it's going to be extremely close. As we said, a very short track here in Interlagos, ever since they changed it in the 90s to shorten it. 4.309 kilometres, 2.677 miles. Very tricky track as well to get your setup right. Sector 1 and Sector 3, all about having high speed and that top speed in the car. Sector 2, you need downforce and you need good mechanical grip, and it is basically single file through there. So in the race, if you get stuck behind someone who hasn't pitted yet in that middle sector, you can easily lose 1 or 2 seconds to your rivals per lap.
Yeah, you can indeed, and especially over the course of a lap during qualifying as well. Every 10th of a sector gone pretty much is going to cost you within qualifying. And a lot of invalidations can be picked up as well out on tracks, and that might be one thing to note coming into tonight. We are just waiting on Vapor, Nicholas and Lemon to join. I believe they've just joined. I can see we're now up to a full grid of 20, which around here is going to put space at an absolute premium, as Luke has just mentioned there. But we are just moments away from beginning out on track. Everyone now within the lobby. Hopefully now we're going to get going. As I say, Kuhnblei has readied up within the lobby and we should be ready to go. And Luke, I will cross over to you for your final thoughts coming into qualifying. What can we expect and who's your top 3?
Ooh, top. We'll go top 3 for qualifying. Firstly, I'm not daring to predict a top 3 for the race. Yeah, I think Perpetuum's going to carry on the form that we've seen. I think we might see... I think we could see the 2 Alpha Tauris up there. Recon and Machero seem to be a bit qualifying specialists at this moment in time, but it just hasn't quite gone right for them in the races. We'll have to see if they can get a best possible start from starting as high up the grid as possible.
Yeah, let's see how qualifying is then going to unfold out on track. The Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache waits our drivers out on track. So without further ado, let us get started. Let us go into qualifying. Welcome along everyone to TTML Division 1. We are here for round 10 of the championship in the jungle of Sao Paulo for the Brazilian Grand Prix at the Autodromo Jose Carlos Pache. 3 compounder tyres awaiting the drivers out on track are the softs, mediums and the hards. Softs, mediums, normally quite durable around here, but a very high tyre degradation might just see them out on track tonight. So I say, myself and Luke Etheridge are going to be taking you through the action out on track. And let's see this track now on your screen right now. 4.3 kilometres in length, 15 turns awaiting the drivers with the 2 DRS zones. 1 down the start-finish straight and 1 down in towards turn 4 into Tecida del Lago. A very high performance track and a lot of elevation change for the drivers to try and cope with tonight in their cars. And hopefully it is going to be a great night's worth of action as we now get into qualifying. One thing that we can notice, of course, on the right hand side, well, out on track, it is completely and utterly dry. And just to remind you as well of the championship permutations coming into tonight, Perpetuum will win as long as he finishes P2 or higher, P3 and fastest lap and pole, P4 and fastest lap and pole possible as well. Gap to Matthias is 45, Laser, gap to him is 56 points. So, can Perpetuum do it out on track?
I think he's going to be aiming to. As I said, it's out of the 9 races we've had so far, there's only one that's had a situation where Perpetuum wouldn't do it out on track. As long as he keeps it clean in qualifying, that seems to be the thing with Perpetuum. If he starts a bit further down the order, he seems to have problems.
Dobby is out on track. I think he's been reset in the pit lane, possibly. He's got left side end plate damage, he's crashed coming out the pit lane, and he's been reset out to track. That's the most maddest thing I think I've ever seen all season.
Well, that's not something we've spoke about here. The pit lane exit is quite tricky. You have to go, on colder tyres than you might ideally like. Tyres that you're not quite sure what the grip is. You've got to make your way around it. If you just push that little too hard, it is possible to understeer or oversteer. And yes, Dobby, front wing damage already. No real harm done. He'll be able to get back into the pits, but definitely not how you'd want to start your qualifying session. It's not exactly going to fill him up with confidence.
He was the first man coming out on track as well, and he was literally the first man out on track, if you get what I mean, coming out the pit lane. Obviously, I think he's lost it through that left-hander coming out the pit lane when the pit limiter goes off. And speaking of losing, actually, somebody's lost it out on track. It's a Lando, I think, in the racing point that has just lost it coming up the hill through turn 12 of Jun Sao. First man, though, out on track, I believe, is Jia Jia. We'll go on board with the lap as he now comes through turn 1. And now through turn 2, and then through turn 3, through the centre S's, as now he comes up towards turn 4 at the Tecida del Lago, opens up that second DRS zone, of course, and we'll see, in terms of his first sector, how he's going to look in terms of his first sector. Because 16.5, I think, through the first sector from Jiao Jiao, out on track, he now comes up the hill, in towards turn number 6 at Ferradura. Now through turn 6, through turn 7, and then up towards the top of the hill, the highest point on the track, coming through turn 8, and then coming through turn 9, and then once again coming through up towards turn 10. This right-hander, of course, known as Laranja, not Naranja, as in the orange from Spain. But there we are. Through turn 11, now in towards Jun Sao at turn 12. And again through the middle sector. Very competitive lap so far from Jiao Jiao out on track. The Dane flying through the middle sector. 33.7 from Verstappen to Kumbly as well, 33.9. And hopefully we're going to see a good lap here. He's got his teammate just in front of him out on track now. Jiao Jiao pretty much runs to the line, and he comes across the line to start us off with a 106.6, I think that is. A good lap there from Jiao Jiao.
Yeah, we've seen this before, though, from the Williams drivers. Fantastic teamwork between them. Chapalele giving his teammate that brilliant tow up the hill, and that's been a big help for Jiao Jiao, who's been a revelation in the 3 races he's taken part in. He's had a podium in every single one. He's done such a good job so far this season. It looks like he's continuing that way as well. A few drivers have tried it on the medium tyres, though. Imadi's done a 107.317, and Bullet Boy dives into the pits from the medium, so clearly feeling that they are not going to be good enough to get himself through. Interestingly, though, Perpetuum only in 6th place at the moment on a 106.6, 3.5 tenths off a provisional pole position.
Yeah, and he just got outdone there by Vapor Nicholas, of course. Nicholas, of course, debuted last week, of course, in Mexico, and he'd be hoping for a really good result like he did last time out. Jiao Jiao, though, out on top of 106.3, not a 106.6. I was trying to look into the driver's wheel to try and get that. Verstappen in second, Recon in third. And the top two, actually, as now Schiaparelli puts it for 106.3. He goes third out on track. Volbeek is out there on a lap as well, and he's coming through Junsao up the hill and towards 13, of course, where Alonso lost it in 2003. Volbeek now through 14 and then through 15, and now runs up toward the line. Let's see what his lap time is going to be, and he puts himself into 8th with a 106.7 out on track, and the whole field currently, the top 13 certainly, are covered by just over 1 second.
Well, we've seen that so often this season. I don't even think we're surprised by it anymore, by just how close the field can be on occasion regularly. I mean, if you look between 4th and 7th place at the moment, Recon and Perpetuum, 52 thousandths of a second is the difference at the moment between 4th and 7th place. So extremely close, and maybe if you're in the lower part of the top 10, you might be wishing you're just outside of it rather than just inside of it. Alternate strategies always seem to be quite handy on this game, but let's see what the other title contender. We've seen what Perpetuum has done. He's in 7th. Matthias currently on a hot lap at the moment. He'll obviously, pole position puts him in a really good place to maybe just keep this battle going on for another round.
Yeah, I found him in the end. I was having a bit of trouble trying to find him out of Dragnet coming through turn 9 and then up the hill in towards turn 10. And Matthias will be helping the Austrians. He gets very close out of camera angle, of course. Now comes through turn 10 at Laranha, and now comes through turn 11 and then through turn 12 at Junsao. There's a yellow flag going through sector 2. Not sure if that's a Haas or a Ferrari that might have had a moment, but it's a purple middle sector from Matthias in the middle sector, and his middle sector not popping up on my screen currently, but a 16.4 through the first sector, and Matthias will be hoping for a very good lap. 33.8 it was through the middle sector, comes across the line, and he goes 6th, and he goes ahead of Perpetuum, and he's only 1,000th off the back of Lando. So actually, Recon all the way down to Lemon are covered by just over 700ths of a second. That's separating 6 drivers.
Yeah, it's pretty darn close at this moment in time, isn't it? Dobby's back out on track again, thankfully with a new front wing, so I don't think Gunter Steiner will be too happy that something smashed his front wing, seeing as Drive to Survive has just come out, and there's a car off in the infield there. That is one of the Alpha Tauris. I think that was Recon.
Yeah, Recon and Mashiro, both of them are on outlap. Saw that just coming through as Dobby now comes through the middle sector in the Haas. There's a Racing Point and McLaren going very slow. As I say, very, very pinch point circuit race, and if you get very short of room, you can end up in contact with other drivers. Dobby now comes across the line, and he puts himself into 15th. We've got Laser on a lap there as well. He's getting slipstream off his teammate Volbeek, who's just ahead, and Volbeek is going to give him slipstream now to the line, coming through 14, through 15, to the line, and he goes 10th, just ahead of his teammate, so good luck there by Laser, and now he's another one that puts himself into 10th position, and only 800ths of a second off the back of Recon. But Zhao Zhao, I believe, is back out on a lap. We'll just try and flick through towards the top end of the field. So there is Zhao Zhao now coming through turn 11 and now through turn 12 in towards Junsao. So 16.3 fastest out of everyone through the first sector. You can see on your screen, fastest out of everyone in the middle sector as well. So the Dane really flying. He was second place last week, of course, in Mexico. Was now Zhao Zhao comes up the hill, 33.5 through the middle sector. Now comes across the line. I would be surprised if it's a 106.1. Comes across the line. Oh, beautiful. 106.1 and Zhao Zhao goes to the top. Verstappen has just started one lap coming through turn 6 at Ferradura.
Yeah, Verstappen coming through this middle sector now. We'll see how he can do on traction. Hopefully, he's got a bit of a gap to one of the Alpha Tauris ahead of him, so shouldn't really get held up. But then conversely, he's not really going to get a bit of a slipstream of anyone else that he might have been hoping as he comes down through Pico de Pato downhill. And it looks like Verstappen has actually backed off of his lap. Lando goes up into 4th place. Schiaparelli, he's up in 3rd, but he's invalidated on this lap. And something you might have noticed, you saw Zhao Zhao on his lap, he hugged the left-hand side of the circuit. That's not ideal if you wanted to start another lap, as it doesn't put you on the good racing line through turn 1, through the centre S, but it is the shortest run. Whereas Volbeek, he drifted over to the right-hand side, and Laser, they took a more conventional line. McLaren's down in 15th and 16th at the moment, so Laser especially, he'll be hoping to improve if he wants to have any hope of keeping his Slim Championship hopes alive.
Yeah, he's in the pit lane at the minute at 106.6. I now can't believe how many drivers are separated on 106.6. Recon all the way down to Laser. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 drivers separated by less than a tenth of a second out on track. That is absolutely insane. We're on board with the Division 2 champion from last season, Mashiro, as he now comes in towards turn 10. Api Kudabato, as you say, now coming through turn 11 and then in towards turn number 12 out on track. And Mashiro will be hoping for very good middle sector. It's not purple through the middle sector, but it is a personal best. A 16.4 was through the first sector. Through the middle sector, the Japanese man set a 34 flat. So he's a little bit off the pace, but he will be improving on this lap. The Japanese man coming toward the line now. Let's see what the AlphaTauri can do. And he pops himself only into 17th position. But look at the entire field. Zhao Zhao all the way down to Dobby, separated by just over 7/10 of a second. It's madness.
It is pretty darn close at the moment, and it wouldn't surprise me if drivers somehow managed to get a bit closer. I've just got on board with Lemon by a bit of pure luck, and he's gone purple in the middle sector as I was going on board with him, so he's 3/10 up on his personal best at this moment. This could put the Mercedes driver onto the front row of the grid, and there we go, 106.312 for Lemon, second place for now, reserving in the Mercedes. Not a bad performance whatsoever. Still 8 minutes to go, and this is sort of a feature of this track because it's short. You can see drivers getting, everyone should get at least 3 hot laps in qualifying. Probably a lot of them going to try and push it to try and get 4 hot laps.
Yeah, definitely. It's very short track, as you say, and everyone will be trying to hope as the tyres improve around here, as the lap times go on as well, we should be seeing some very good improvements out on track. McLaren just going up the inside there. I think that was Volbeek on an out lap. Not sure who was spun coming through turn 10. It's an Alfa Romeo. I think that might be Mashiro coming up through turn 10. Yeah, he's got, thought he had right turn end plate damage, but he has now got an invalidated lap time. So the Japanese man who just improved is off the track. Bianchi, however, recently left TTG, now in, of course, as F1 under that hyphen Bianchi, very similar to Dobby's profile, as now Bianchi comes down the hill in towards turn 11 and then through in towards turn 12 at Junsao. What's his middle sector looking like? It's not too bad through the middle sector, I don't think, and Bianchi will be hoping for a good lap here. 60.4 was through the first sector, middle sector split for Bianchi. Hasn't loaded on my screen on the task system, but we'll try and confirm that in just a second. There's a 33.8. Bianchi now comes across the line, and he goes up to 5th. A 106.4 puts him right in the mix.
Yeah, very good lap from him. Things are looking pretty close at the moment. Perpetuum, he's a 10th up through Sector 1, looking at the task system, which doesn't sound like a massive improvement, but all he has to do is stay a 10th up, and he'll probably shove himself up into 7th or 8th place at the moment. If he finds a 10th in each sector, he could be on the front row of the grid, and Perpetuum there, 3/10 up now, coming through Sector 2. This is more like what we expected to see from the Ferrari. Can he challenge Zhao Zhao? Could he even? And I doubt this, because he'd have to have a fantastic final sector. Get into the 105s as the Ferrari comes towards the finish line. 106.332 puts him into 3rd place. He just ran out of ERS there, a bit at the line. I wonder if maybe if he'd have turned it off somewhere in the middle sector to keep it for the straight, whether he'd have been able to get ahead of Lemon.
Yeah, possibly. He might have been needing the Red Bull, to be honest. It might have gave him wings running down the straight. Zhao Zhao out on top, Lemon in 2nd, Perpetuum in 3rd. Just don't you worry about that. The pylons are just getting started here. Zhao Zhao leading to Lemon in 2nd, Perpetuum in 3rd. In qualifying, 2/3 of the way through. There's Verstappen, who's just completed the lap at 106.379 was Verstappen's lap time. And through the first sector to 17th lap, so he is about 6/10 down. Zhao Zhao improves for 106 flat.
This is getting pretty depressing for everyone else when they're seeing how close the field is, and then they look at the gap to Zhao Zhao, and he's got more than a quarter of a second. So he's got more than the gap from 2nd to 9th place at this moment in time. Zhao Zhao has got more than the gap from 10th to 10th to last position. Almost. Volbeek's now heading towards the line. Good lap from him. Puts him up into 6th place on a 106.402. So that is good for McLaren's Constructors' Championship hopes. Both their cars in the top 10. Both Alfa Romeos in the top 10. Only one Ferrari and neither Red Bull.
Yeah, Lando coming across the line as well. This is a really good lap from Lando. Comes across the line, and he goes 2nd with a 106.196. A good improvement there from Lando. Really found the time in that middle sector. Zhao Zhao out on top, Lando now 2nd, and Lemon in 3rd position. Everyone has got a valid lap time in, which I'm glad to say. Volbeek with that lap, as you say, 106.4, put him up into 7th now. Noon is on a lap time coming up the hill through Ferradura, through 6, and then through 7, and then in towards turn 8 at La Ranja. Not Vico de Pato, which of course is turn 10. Noon now coming through turn 9, and then in towards Vico de Pato at turn 10. And through the first sector, it wasn't looking too bad, actually, from Noon's perspective. At 16.9, he is down in the first sector, so I wonder, actually, if he is not on a lap here. Vapor Nicholas, I think, has just started up on a lap as well behind him. He is coming through in towards Jun Sao, but Noon through the middle sector, don't think he's on a respective lap here at all. But 33.7, actually setting a personal best in this middle sector. Tries to take the thinnest line possible, but not the thinnest line possible as he goes into the pit lane. Nicholas might do the same here as well. Yeah, Nicholas both in. And now we get the quiet part of the track where we will dissect how qualifying has went so far. Jojo out on top, Lando second, Lemon in third, and barely 8.5 tenths separating the full grid.
Yeah, it's pretty close at the moment. It's good to see Lando and actually Lemon improve slightly. Good to see them get a bit closer to Zhao Zhao. Maybe the Williams driver's not going to have it all his own way. A few drivers now heading on an out lap. But a big man who needs a good lap this time. He didn't get a second clean run in. It's Matthias. He's in 13th place at the moment. I think he's gone out a bit earlier just in case he invalidates his first run. And even if he doesn't invalidate his first run, he might be able to have a cool-down lap and give it one extra go, given that it is such a short circuit. Big moment this now for Matthias' championship hopes.
Yeah, and he'll be hoping to try and get a very good first sector on the board. As he now comes through the first sector, it's 16.610, I can see on the screen just in front of you, and now comes through turn 5, and then up the hill in towards turn 6. It was a 16.480 according to the task system, so a little bit of differentiation there. Comes through turn 7, loses it, and that's an invalidation surely for Matthias, and that lap has now been royally and utterly messed up.
Yeah, just had a big slide there coming through Feather Jova. Did well to hold it on and not cause a huge accident. I think it was... I remember Michael Schumacher having a big accident there after he won one of his titles in the Ferrari days, which I admit doesn't really narrow down which year it was. But yeah, Matthias holding on to it, and now he will be glad that he set off early because he's still got 2 minutes to go. But this is pretty much it for Matthias. He's got to get this run right, otherwise he's starting outside the top 10, which might be good for the alternate strategy, but I'm sure we'll have been hoping to be a lot closer to Perpetuum.
Recon getting out of the way of Imadi. Imadi is on a good lap here, the Scotsman. 106.264 is his current personal best. Matthias just in front of him, 1100th of a second, I should say. Separating as now Imadi comes across the line, and he goes up to 11th, 106.5, finds a 10th improvement. Matthias is back out on a lap coming through the first sector. It's not purple through the first sector for Matthias. Recon as well was on a down lap. Schiaparelli is coming through the middle sector, I believe, out on his lap, so we'll cut to him out on track if we can, and there he is. Schiaparelli now coming through Jun Sao, and he's purple in the middle sector. Schiaparelli now hit the big Shap out on track. That really didn't work, did it? 106.395 is his current personal best as he now comes in towards turn 14. Now through turn 15, runs to the line. Can the German improve? Goes second, and he's only 200th of a second off his own teammate. So Schiaparelli, really good improvement, and that is pretty much his qualifying done.
Yeah, it is. Perpetuum stakes his way up into third. Found quite a lot of time in that final sector. Renault off the circuit. I think that's Imadi just pulling out of the way of everyone, not wanting to hold anyone up. It is all heated up at this moment in time. Matthias goes up into 5th place. Yes, he's put an extra lap on those tyres, but he's right in the thick of action, so he will be delighted about that. Verstappen, last week's winner, he's improving here. He's now coming up the hill through the final sector, through this final left-hander. Easy flat in a modern Formula 1 car, cutting the pits as much as you're allowed to. What's it going to be for the Alfa Romeo? Sneaks up ahead of Lemon into 6th place. It's getting pretty tasty out there.
It is getting pretty tasty. Volbeek is coming through the middle sector, but he's invalidated out on his lap. He's down to 10th now as Nicholas goes up into 3rd. So good lap there by the Renault. We're seeing the final improvements now happening out on track. Lemon is going to be the final driver to come across the line. He's coming through Jun Sao up the hill. Volbeek now starting up on a lap. We'll focus on later though, as he now comes out through the middle sector, through turn 10 now, as he now runs down the hill in towards turn 11. Volbeek as well, invalidated of course on that lap time. Ferrari just ahead of Perpetuum, getting out the way to the right-hand side. Not really improving in the middle sector, I don't think, later. We're now right on board, running up the hill through turn 13, and I think he's actually backed off this, if I'm not mistaken, judging by that. Yeah, he's into the pit lane. So later into the pit lane, quite a few drivers, in fact, into the pit lane. Verstappen is invalidated as well, so he's not going to be improving. Nicholas and Zhao Zhao is out on the lap now, coming through Jun Sao at turn 12. Let's see if he can try and improve on his lap. He won't, though, because he's invalidated. So Zhao Zhao now is pretty much at the mercy of the rest of the field. Bianchi and Volbeat are also on lap times. Bianchi, I think, is furthest on, along with Lemon. Lemon is through the middle sector. Volbeat is now coming through Jun Sao, but there is Bianchi coming up now through turn 13, in through 14, and now to the line. What's the Italian going to do? Is he going to improve up the field? Comes across the line. No, he doesn't, and he stays in 11th. Volbeat as well. Into pit lane.
Sorry to interrupt you, James. What on earth was Nicholas doing then? Lemon's got a 5-second penalty for a collision with Vapor Nicholas. Lemon's coming up out of Young Sao, and Nicholas is just sat on the racing line, doing as if he's on the middle lane of the M1, doing about 50 miles per hour, and Lemon's just gone straight into the back of him.
Absolute disaster. We didn't catch it on stream, so thank you for picking that up. Lemon might have a 5-second penalty as well, possibly with Nicholas. There is a car still going around on track. I believe it is the Haas of, correct me if I'm wrong, Bullet Boy, who's going around out on track. That's just an AI mode. Jaja the Wad on top, Chapelelli in second, Nicholas in third. Nicholas with a 5-second penalty will put him down into 8th. If Lemon has also got a penalty as a result of that, does he now move down into 13th position? We'll see in just a second. As Jaja was out on top, it's Lemon that has picked up the 5th-place penalty. Chapelelli then in second, Nicholas in third, Perpetuum in 4th, Lando in 5th. Have you ever seen a grade closer than that? A 10th of a second. Matthias in 6th with Verstappen in 7th. Lemon from 8th will drop down into 14th because Laser, Volbeat, Bianchi, Noon and Kumblai will go past him. Lemon will then start in 13th, Recon in 14th, Amadi 15th, Combi 16th, Carlsby 17th, goodness me, Bullet Boy in 18th, Mashiro in 19th, and Dobby in 20th. Top 18 separated by less than 6 tenths of a second. The whole field just over 8.5 tenths.
Yeah, top 15 separated by half a second as well. If it's as close as that in the race, we are going to have some fantastic action. One thing that we've seen quite a few times on this game, though, is the DRS train, and you do seem to have that quite a lot around Brazil. We do get DRS trains quite a few times around here. 2 DRS zones, 1 into the CNRS, so turn 1, 1 down the Retroposte into Desio de Largo, turn 4. And I can tell you, it is looking pretty darn overcast around Interlagos. You'd definitely pack a coat with you if the weather was like that when you were stepping outside. So that might just add a little bit of a spice to the tail in this action.
Yeah, let's have a look. I am just literally getting back in, and there we are. We can see now the overcast conditions for you out on track, and hopefully we are going to be seeing some really good action out on track. Of course, in qualifying it was overcast, 23 degrees air temperature, 31 degrees track temperature, and with 25 seconds to go until this session restarts, let's have a look then at this track in question. 4.3 kilometres and then 2.6 miles. 36 laps awaiting these drivers, and if it's anything to go by in qualifying, we should see quite a tight race with a lot of DRS trains possibly going to be predicted out on track. And let's hope that all of this action is going to bring a smile to your face and a bit of normality into your life on a Tuesday, as we now are about to get going into the formation lap here. And we're about to get going, and we'll see what everyone is on in terms of the strategy. However, I will take off the track map and remind you, of course, coming into tonight, what is going to be unfolding in terms of the championship permutations. And, well, championship permutations are simple. Perpetuum has got to finish, basically, 2nd position out on track, or below that, 3rd place with the fastest lap, 4th place with pole and the fastest lap, which he didn't get. But he'll be hoping for a really good result out on track, and surely he's in the driving seat without qualifying Matthias in qualifying.
Yes, and I think now, correct me if I'm wrong, I think now obviously with Matthias not getting the pole position as well, I think 3rd place might just be enough for Perpetuum all of a sudden, because Matthias has obviously missed out on them 2 bonus points, but yeah, Perpetuum in an absolutely fantastic position at this moment in time. Williams, though, with a 1-2. I'm just going to quickly get the Constructors' Championship standings up. Yes, they are down in 7th place. They're 89 points off Ferrari. They're probably not going to have any chance of winning the Constructors, but they might be able to work together and see if they can pull away from Nicholas, Perpetuum and the rest of the field. We might see a very good performance from the Williams drivers. Quite a quick formation lap as well, and quite a mixture of tyres outside of the top 9, obviously, because Lemon in 13th did originally start in the top 10.
Yeah, he qualified on a set of soft compounded tyres. Those tyres remain on that car. Everyone else, Bianchi, Noon, Kumblai, Recon, Carlsby, Mashiro, and Dobby all on a set of mediums. On a set of softs is Armour D, and on a set of hards is Bullet Boy. And he'd be hoping to try and get the one-stop strategy going around here to later on in the race. However, I think the two-stop is the quickest strategy around here, if I'm not mistaken. Quickly, though, before we get into the race, Luke, what's your top three?
Zhao Zhao, Perpetuum, Lando.
Interesting. We'll get the final cars then joining up at the back of the grid. Dobby and Mashiro, 19th and 20th. I'm going to go Jajo for the win, Perpetuum second, Matthias for third. There we are. Might have heard the right prediction there. As already we get a graphic stitch. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. 5 red lights then are now coming on here in Brazil for the penultimate round of the championship of TTML Division 1. Long hold, but it's lights down and away we go. Schiaparelli gets a better start than Jajo, and now already we see a graphic stitch to the left-hand side. But now Jajo comes through turn one in front. Schiaparelli in second, Nicholas in third, right on the rear wing of the back of Schiaparelli. Veshem's got a good start as well. Everyone's clean through the centre messes for the first time, as Jajo is absolutely bolted by 0.5 of a second. Leading the way, Nicholas right on the back of Schiaparelli though for second. Lando right on the back of Perpetuum as well. Running down the side-by-side between Matthias and Laser. Laser, of course, both. Oh, and there's a spinner in the background. That is Recon that has been sent round. He's out the race. He's caught up in a bit of a collision with Kumblai. Sadly got spun around on the outside curb, I think, there, Recon, but we'll come back to that in a second as Jajo leads the way. Schiaparelli in second, Nicholas in third, Perpetuum in fourth, Lando in fifth, Verstappen in sixth, all settling down. Noon is nearly going side by side with Bianchi as well, just in behind. A relatively clean start back from that early contact. Jajo, though, has got a real good break, 0.7 of a second, and Schiaparelli acting as rear gunner for now.
Yeah, Schiaparelli getting away cleanly, as did all of the top drivers, really. Recon with a start that was about as bad as the graphics fix that Codemasters claimed had done yesterday, judging by the first lap of the race. But such a shame for Recon and Kumblai with major front wing damage. He'll have to be coming into the pits, and that is really ruining this alternate strategy that he was planning. But Zhao Zhao still in the lead, Schiaparelli second, Nicholas in third position. Perpetuum he's happy at the moment. He knows he doesn't have to take any risks. Why that could benefit perhaps Lando is he's thinking Perpetuum's not going to take any risks whatsoever. If I'm going to send an optimistic move down the inside, Perpetuum might be more inclined to just get out of the way.
Yeah, I think we saw Amadi go past on Noon down in towards turn one as well, so Amadi doing his into 12th. He's on the side of soft compounded tyres, making his way up through the field. Everyone, though, stuck in a big old DRS train out on track, and currently no DRS enabled. We are on lap 2 out of 36. Kumblai, of course, into the pit lane as well after picking up damage in that collision with Recon, who tried to rejoin the circuit, albeit not his fault, I've got to be honest. Jajo, though, out on top. Schiaparelli in second, Nicholas in third, Perpetuum in fourth, and the Ferrari right on the back of the Renault. It's actually more than 0.4 per second, as you can see on the left-hand side. Lemon, in the meantime, right on the back of Volbeek, just in behind. McLaren and Mercedes about to do battle within the constructors, of course. Mercedes well out of contention. McLaren will be hoping for as much point as possible coming towards the end of tonight, as now Volbeek gets onto the back of his own teammate out on track. Carlsby and Noon are going side by side. I think Carlsby on the outside line should get the move done. Is Noon going to try and dive it down the inside? No, stays in rear wing gunner mode, and Carlsby stays in 13th for now. Jajo out on top, Schiaparelli second, Nicholas in third. I'll guarantee you we're not going to see any overtakes down towards the Cedar de Largo.
No, we're not. That's the first time, obviously, they've been able to use the DRS, and I think pretty much the entire field, apart from Kumblai, obviously, is in the DRS at this moment in time. So it's Zhao, it's the driver who's first and the driver who is last, are the only two who don't have the DRS at this moment in time. So that is going to make things pretty difficult for overtaking, obviously. DRS is the main way you can do it out around here. You're just going to have to rely on maybe a possible mistake from one of the drivers around you to try and do something, but all they're going to try and do is keep it nice and steady at this moment. What this DRS train, it's good news for those who started on the mediums. So if you're someone like Bianchi in 11th place, as long as you can hang on to the back of Lemon, of Volbeek, you're going to stay with them. And then obviously when they come into the pits, you've still got a bit of life left in your tyres. So don't be surprised if we see Bianchi maybe work his way up the order, similarly with Carlsby, Noon, for everyone who's on the mediums or the hards.
Speaking of the latter two, Volbeek and Lemon side by side running down in towards turn one. Lemon on the outside line, Volbeek on the inside line, German against Dutchman, and the German tries to get through, but Volbeek hangs tough and hangs fire, and still in P9. But for how long? Lemon now using up the overtake mode to get past. They nearly come across each other side by side, like nearly in another commentary that I did earlier on last week, as Volbeek forces Lemon off track. It's getting a little bit aggressive between these two. Further down the field as well, Combi and Mashiro going side by side. The Shizou boy under pressure from the German, trying to go around the outside and towards Ferradura. This will be a bold move from Combi if he can try and get this move done. Mashiro just shuffles forward slightly. Combi's on the outside line. That's a 3-second time relief for absolutely nothing, if I've got to be honest, but he's still holding the line. Now on the inside line coming through turn 9. It's still side by side between the Japanese man and the German. I think the Japanese man is just about going to come out on top of this. Combi is still really determined to try and hang around the outside. Mashiro says, you know what, I'm not coming through. And look at Bullet Boy on a set of hard trying to go around the outside. This is an insane battle between them both. Mashiro and Combi nearly touching again, and Bullet Boy right in the mix of this as well. He could get one, he could get two. It's like a partner on the Red Sea running up the curb. Oh my goodness me, Combi gets caught on the curb. Bullet Boy on the outside line. We're now going to have 3 wide down the straight. Dobby is just sitting and watching this in awe. Combi now going to lose 2 positions. Mashiro has lost 2 positions as well, as Bullet Boy has got both of them, and Bullet Boy is through and he's into 15th position. Mashiro and Combi just really falling over each other, and Bullet Boy gets them both for 15th.
Yeah, I was going to say, all that battle did really was help them lose time to all the drivers in front and give Bullet Boy a perfect opportunity. Both of them picking up a warning for going off track, maybe a bit not unnecessary from Combi and Mashiro, and it certainly looked great, although I think the chat's just let out a collective groan watching Mashiro drop down from 15th into 16th position. But further up the order, Zhao Zhao still leading the race, still Shapalele not really, perhaps surprisingly, but perhaps unsurprisingly, not really putting his teammate under any pressure. We have seen these two work pretty well in the few races so far this season. Maybe now things will calm down a bit in the midfield, and I think there'll still be a few more laps before things start kicking off up front, where we might see a driver, someone like Volbeek and Lemon, who's a bit further down, think about coming into the pits, maybe around lap 11, lap 12, and getting rid of these soft tyres and trying a very aggressive undercut.
Combi Mashiro round 2, running up the hill and towards turn 1. Combi sets a faster third sector out on track. I think that was better by Dobby just in behind. And for the collective grown people, of course, within the comment section, hards will probably be quicker than mediums at around this point in the race. So that is why Bullet Boy is through on Mashiro. And now Combi looks to the inside line of Mashiro. There may be even more of a collective grown as Mashiro nearly goes into the back. He runs out wide. Combi forces him out wide slightly. But to be honest, I think Combi really had right away in the corner. He is through, and a collective grown now let out, I'm sure, and he's down now into 17th position.
Yeah, it's been a bit of a bad race for AlphaTauri. Recon saying about someone braking mid-corner, I'd say that was maybe just one of those lap 1 things where, you know, everything concertinas together. It is quite narrow as you head round to Tito de Largo, and as Sebastian Vettel knows, it is very easy to get involved in an incident there on lap 1, and all that battling's done for Combi Mashiro. You can see now Bullet Boy's 2.5 seconds behind. He'll still probably be losing time to those ahead just because they've all got the DRS, and he hasn't in this moment in time. So it could be a very tough race for those 15th, 16th, 17th and 18th at this moment in time. And Volbeek looks as though he's starting to lose a bit of time to Laser, so that could maybe give Lemon and Bianchi a bit of a chance if the McLaren loses DRS.
Yeah, Matthias getting onto the back of Verstappen in... Oh, God. I've just switched for the wrong person. Matthias there in 7th. There's Laser and Nathan. Laser's actually not too far off the back of Matthias, but Matthias is not too far off the back of Verstappen either. Bullet Boy and Combi now going side by side, running towards the Cedar de Largo. Combi down the inside line gets Bullet Boy. So I'm sure the collective groan now a little bit of a moan rather than a groan. Combi now up to 15th. Bullet Boy 16th. Mashiro in 17th. And Mashiro will be hoping to try and latch onto the back. Dobby is not too far off the pace either in terms of, in retrospect to those guys. Kumblai, of course, on a fresh set of softs. He is trying to set the fastest lap as possible. It does look to me, though, as if conditions might be improving and the sun might be beginning to break out on track as Zhao Zhao leads up the hill once again from Shapalele in second. But I tell you what, Perpetuum now on the back of Nicholas. Lemon and Volbeek are side by side. Actually, Volbeek's round through Jun Sao.
Yeah, Volbeek round from Young Sao, and as soon as you do that, the game spawns you in the middle of the track, and I really hope that either everyone behind the scene, in fact, he's coming into the pit, so I wonder if he's putting any damage. So that's Combi up to 14th. He's really cooking on gas now all of a sudden, and Volbeek retiring from the session. That is a shame to see early on in this race. You never know what could happen, but it does look as though it's getting a bit brighter all of a sudden, so perhaps any chance of rain going out of the window. And what that has done with Volbeek leaving the session and retiring is it's really given the top 8 a chance to try and get away and build a gap on Lemon, Bianchi, Imedy and Carlsberg.
It has indeed. Chapelelli right on the back of Jaja for the lead of the race. I was just about to say, before Jaja's just pulled up another 0.2 of a second on his own teammate, I thought his tyres were beginning to overwear slightly out on track. Looking in terms of the TAS system, that's not updated for me because I haven't been using the TAS system so far. Nicholas and Petrum on the back of each other for 3rd and 4th, and the Ferrari again trying to latch onto the back of the Renault. 0.3 of a second separating these two. Running up in towards turn number 1 once again. Jaja leads as we approach the quarter waypoint now, out on track. Chapelelli in 2nd, and Chapelelli will be hoping to try and put a bit of pressure now on the back of Jaja, but Jaja really flying out on track. It's 0.3 of a second. Chapelelli might have a go, possibly down in towards the seat of the Largo, but I don't think he's going to be close enough to try and get this move done, and he's just set his rear gunner for now. There's a little bit of weave nearly there, I think, from Chapelelli. Maybe getting a little bit impatient and telling Jaja to let him through.
Maybe. The thing is, Chapelelli is closing in, as you would expect with the DRS, but then he just loses over time through the middle sector in the dirty air. Most importantly for him, he loses about a tenth and a half just through turn 3 in the dirty air, and that's why he's not even close enough to attempt a move. I think even with as far away as he would be, it'd be a very optimistic move on anyone, never mind your teammate. The good intra-team relationship that I've been talking about would quickly expire, I think, if he went for a move from that far back. So strategy looks like the most likely thing for Chapelelli at this moment in time. He's 7/10 behind as he comes through Young Sao. Yes, he'll close up down the straight. Both drivers have got plenty of ERS, so that's going to end up cancelling each other out. And I think unless for a mistake, we might not see a move between the Williams. We might see one with the Ferrari and the Renault though, because Petrum down the inside into turn 1 on Nicholas, gets that position. He's up into 3rd.
German on German, Hermano on Hermano, but Nicholas right on the back of Perpetuum just drops off the back. He's not using any overtake mode, and Perpetuum now, possibly now, going for the race lead. Chapelelli in 2nd, Jaja in the lead, of course, but Chapelelli has got better tyres, slightly, by about 4%, compared to Jaja. Looking at his rear right, though, it is beginning to overwear slightly, so Chapelelli will be hoping to try and keep those tyres going. It's Jaja, though, out on top, Chapelelli in 2nd, Perpetuum in 3rd, Nicholas in 4th, Lando in 5th. And in terms of the penalties at the first quarter stage, 3 seconds for Lando, 3 seconds for Combi, 3 seconds for Kuhn Bly, out on track. Perpetuum now putting a lot of pressure underneath the Germans. Germans 2nd, 3rd and 4th, chasing the Dane out in front, but Jaja leading, Chapelelli 2nd, Perpetuum in 3rd. Perpetuum is so quick coming out of Jun Sao, but look at Chapelelli begin to pull away, and that rear gunner tactic definitely working to perfection. They're not into the pit lane just yet in behind. Nicholas and Lando running nearly side by side. Lando catching Nicholas on the run up towards turn 1. But the Brit, with that beautiful rear wing, Imedy, though, is the first man to come into the pit lane, and speeds into the pit lane, in fact, but he's on Tresella from a set of soft compounded tyres. Surely on Tresella hards to the end?
Yeah, I think it's too early now to go into a set of medium, so hard tyres for Imedy. Interesting that he felt the need to do that. Whether he felt like he was getting held up, I'm not quite so sure. Mashiro now picking up a 3-second time penalty. That combi bullet boy Mashiro Dobby battle hasn't really recovered from the... It looked absolutely fantastic, but we knew it would cost them a bit of time, and they have just been losing a 10th or 2 a lap to those ahead of them, so it could be quite a long evening for those guys all of a sudden. I wonder if we're going to see any of the front group blink all of a sudden. Lemon, he's got some free air, so I don't think he's going to do it. But Laser and Matthias, they've got to try something different all of a sudden here. They're in a big DRS train, 7th and 8th in the train. They're going to find it very difficult to get any overtakes done on track. Why not try something different?
Yeah, why not try having something different? We should see, I think, as Lando's actually going to attack Nicholas running down in towards turn 1. Lando now using up that overtake mode. He's on the inside line, sets a purple middle final sector as well. Lando down the inside of Nicholas. Nicholas not really giving up without a fight, but Lando is through and he's into P4. Good move there by Lando, but the German is right on the back. Is he going to use up any overtake mode to try and come back at him? Running down in towards the seat of the Largo for the 12th time. We're a third of the way through here in Brazil. Jaja leading, Chapelelli 2nd, Perpetuum in 3rd, Lando 4th, and Nicholas filling out the top 5. Verstappen, Matthias, Laser, Lemon not too far off the pace either, especially the top 8. Lemon in 9th, and then Bianchi in 10th. And speaking of Lemon, he's out the race.
That was a big
He's lost on the outside curb. BSC. VSC out on track. I think he got caught on the outside curve. I'm just going to have to go quickly blue screen because I've got my bloody voice commands coming up on my screen. That was terrible. But yeah, Lemon out of the race, unfortunately. And there's Armadi coming through, and he's on the right-hand side. So he's got caught, I think, on the inside curve, and it's just flung him out wide. It's as simple as that.
Yeah, it has indeed. Now, how long is this VSC going to last? Are we going to see anyone hope that it lasts a bit longer than it probably should do and dive into the pits on this lap? Although I say that, Zhao Zhao looks as though he's starting to change through the gears pretty quickly all of a sudden. He is coming into the pit, so Zhao Zhao into the pit. Shapalele and Perpetuum carry on. Lando, Nicholas, Verstappen and Laser as well, as Nicholas gets himself a penalty. And the VSC has ended all of a sudden, so they might have saved a second, if that, through that VSC period. Whether that was when they were planning to pit anyway, I'm not quite so sure. Mediums for Zhao Zhao, mediums for all of them that came into the pit. And where are they going to come out? They're going to be behind this combi, Bullet Boy, Mashiro and Dobby battle.
Yeah, they're not going to be too far off this, actually. They're going to be catching up quite quick. Of course, the thinner line will take Zhao Zhao in towards the race, but it's going to be about a second off running down in towards the Cedar de Lago, which is not enough time, actually, for him to try and close up on this lap, certainly. But he'll be hoping that Dobby just comes back into him as he chases down Mashiro just ahead. Bullet Boy and Combi as well, side by side, well, not side by side, for 7th and 8th position. 2.9 seconds off noon at this moment in time. They'll be hoping a battle. Bullet Boy, you would imagine the hards are going to be coming into play around about this point in the race. Shafalali leading, Perpetuum in second, and Matthias in third. I think both of these guys, plus Matthias, has got to come into the pit lane, and Shafalali remains out, actually. Perpetuum stays out, and Matthias stays out as well. What does the lead commentator in TTML know?
I'm not too surprised they've stayed out, if I'm being perfectly honest. We've now got Zhao Zhao on the back of Dobby. He needs to get this move done, but he'll have started losing a bit of time in that middle sector. Dobby's obviously going to have the DRS as well, so I think Dobby's going to be kind and just admit that he's on the slower tyres at this moment in time and let Zhao Zhao through. But for example, Zhao Zhao's going to be stuck behind Mashiro in the middle sector, and he's going to be losing a good couple attempts all of a sudden. This just coming in when they did, yes, they got track advantage for a slight bit and a slight bit of an undercut as Bullet Boy is round at turn 4. Thank God for ghosting. And he is going to drop a long way down the order. It looked, I just came onto that as he was going through turn 4. It looked like he was on the grass for some reason already on the way into turn 4. So I'm not sure whether him and Combi got a bit too close for comfort, but a disaster for the Haas driver.
I think Bullet Boy just got the move done on Combi running down in towards the Cedar de Lago. He's probably got caught on the inside curve. That outside curve has then spun him round, and he's tried to correct it. It's probably as simple as that. But unfortunately for Bullet Boy, he's now down in 16th position. Shapalele, Perpetuum, Matthias all stay out on track. Bullet Boy is spun again coming through, and he's now got damage, I think, on that left side end plate as well. Kumblai now flies past him as Lando and Dobby now go side by side running down the straight, and Dobby, in fact, just concedes defeat and lets him out of the way. Mashiro, though, try to look in. Oh, no way. That was going to work for Mashiro. He's into the wall, surely, and Mashiro actually keeps that out the wall, surprisingly. But down the inside, around the outside line when Zhao Zhao, Mashiro tried to hang it on the inside line, and now just beginning to get a little bit more aggressive racing out on track, lacing that through, and he's into 13th position. But Zhao Zhao pretty much clear of the traffic as there's a yellow flag in sector 3, and again, it is Bullet Boy who was again round coming out of John Sao, Shapalele, Perpetuum, Matthias leading the way. We'll ride and bob with Zhao Zhao and catch his progress. In the meantime, I'll be back in just a couple of minutes.
Yeah, so I think we're going to be starting to see some pit stops now for Shapalele, Perpetuum and Matthias. Lap 15 is a fairly common time to see pit stops around here. Bullet Boy retiring from the session, probably not too surprising, and Zhao Zhao maybe feeling a bit lucky to not get any damage from that incident with Mashiro, as Shapalele and Matthias do both come into the pits. Perpetuum just staying out that one extra lap longer, and Zhao Zhao now catching up to the back of Combi. This should be a fairly straightforward move for the next race leader. The Williams, nice and straightforward past Combi up into what is probably going to be 5th position. Then where's Shapalele going to come out in all of this? Will he still be ahead of Lando, or will he have dropped quite a bit down the order as Mashiro retires from the session in the pit lane as well? I think that was a very optimistic attempt to defend his position from Mashiro, if I'm being perfectly honest. We do only get to see the incidents once. Of course, it did look as though he just let off the brakes to try and defend from Zhao Zhao. Zhao Zhao, I think, wasn't expecting Mashiro to do that, and the two did just come together. Shapalele all of a sudden, as I get my words jumbled over his name, is now in a net 4th position. So he's lost quite a bit of time in that. Matthias is behind Laser, but they have got fresher tyres. If we look at Shapalele's tyres now compared to Jiao Jiao's, Jiao Jiao's are already up on 11-12%. Shapalele's are at 1 or 2%. So that 10% difference could be the change between puncture territory and not at the end of the race. And maybe that's why Perpetuum's gone on a bit longer as he comes into the pits. Puts the medium tyres on, so that now means it's Bianchi, Carlsbury, Noon, Jiao Jiao, and I imagine it's probably going to be Lando, Combi, Shapalele getting his way down the inside of Nicholas into the centre S, just behind Jiao Jiao, so he's now up into 7th place, and I think Perpetuum is going to be behind Shapalele, he's going to be behind Nicholas, is he going to be behind Verstappen as well? Maybe just leaving it 1 lap too late to come into the pit, so he's in 10th, and that, at the moment, with Combi, of course, still having yet to come into the pits, as well as the top 3, is a net 6th position for Perpetuum as Machero leads the session. We are down to 15 cars. It's been quite an attritional race here so far in TTML, and we might see the effect of older tyres here. Jiao Jiao and Lando might be able to get away from Combi ever so slightly. He's not doing too bad, to be fair, the Racing Point driver at this moment. The second Racing Point hanging on to his teammate, hanging on 13 lap older tyres. Lando, Combi, Nicholas, Amedy and Quamblige all having penalties at this moment in time. Every single, well, 5 seconds penalties for Amedy and Nicholas, 6 seconds for Quamblige, 3 seconds for both of the Racing Points. As Combi now with the DRS is going to need that to defend. Shapalele is going to try sending one down the inside into the centre S. Combi sees him coming, gives him room. Shapalele is going to have the grip to go all the way around the outside at the second point. Fantastic move there from Shapalele. But is he going to be safe now? Is Combi going to feel the need to fight back? Is Nicholas going to have a go at the Racing Point as well? No, decides to just stay behind. So Shapalele, the sort of moves he needs to do to try and get himself back up the order. And that just shows what better tyre grip can do.
Yeah, and what a move as well to come back to. Shapalele ran the outside through the centre S's through 2 and 3. Gets the move done up to 6th position, and Combi still trying to fight in. Nicholas got very close to the back there of his fellow German, and look at Verstappen in behind as well. And Perpetuum trying to get involved in this as well. Perpetuum looks to the inside line and in towards turn 10, but not quite close enough. Bianchi leading at the halfway stage. Carlsbury second, Noon in third, Jiao Jiao in fourth. Now clear pretty much of the traffic. Lando in behind trying to hunt him down. It's 0.5 of a second, so Lando is very quick on his day. He's actually he's overcut actually Shapalele out on track, and Shapalele will be hoping on fresher tyres he can try and gain the ground down in towards turn 1. Speaking of gaining the ground, here comes Lando on the outside line, running in towards turn 1, pretty much for the net race lead. Lando ran the outside through turn 1, job done by the Brit, brilliant stuff. Verstappen and Perpetuum going side by side there as well. Perpetuum really doesn't need a fight, he has got the championship pretty much in his grasp. As now Perpetuum on the outside line of Verstappen is surely going to have to give way, and Verstappen now down into 10th position. Perpetuum up into 9th, and Perpetuum makes that stick, and he's on fresher tyres, and now he can try and carve his way through the field. Jiao Jiao though not done on the back of Lando.
No, I think Jiao Jiao will be having to go back at Lando. He's got a lot more ERS, and it was Verstappen had just ran out of ERS and no 150 brake horsepower from the MGUH and the MGUK. Meant he really didn't have a lot to defend against Perpetuum with, and maybe this strategy could be the right one going on the fresher tyres, because we saw how quickly Shapalele was able to make his way up through the field past Combi, whereas Nicholas has spent another lap stuck behind him, and I think he's going to try and get him this time around, which he should be able to do. Even though the Racing Point's going to have the ERS, he's going to have a lot less grip as Bianchi comes into the pits. That's quite early at the end of lap 19 to come in off the mediums onto the soft tyres. Nicholas gets this move done down the inside, although that lack of ERS costing him ever so slightly. As Combi, I think there was just a bit of game lag there rather than anything else. I thought Combi had absolutely butchered the braking zone for turn 1, but he just about managed to survive another day. Now Perpetuum's going to have to be stuck behind the Racing Point for a bit.
He is indeed. Verstappen as well, not too far off the pace. We saw Laser get through on Dobby. Dobby now losing 2 positions past Matthias as well, so he's up into 11th. Matthias and Laser, of course, in their own private battle pretty much in the championship coming into tonight. We'll have to see how, in terms of the points, that is going to look towards the end. But Perpetuum right on the back of Combi. All Perpetuum has really got to do at this point is to try and outscore Matthias by as much as possible to try and wrap up this championship win out on track. Carlsbury in the lead, Noon in second, Lando now in third, Jiao Jiao fourth with Shapalele in fifth, and actually Lando's round. Lando was round coming through turn 10, and that is dramatic from the net race lead Lando now has got it on goals just about in front of Matthias, but Lando now back down into 11th position. He got caught in the outside curb, I think, and that is absolute disaster for the Brits.
Yeah, it is as well. On the older tyres, he would not want to overheat them ever so slightly. He's still got the DRS off the back of the tyres, which is a bit of luck. Verstappen having to go back at Petr. Oh, contact!
No! Dramatic! If there is drama personified, you've just had it. Verstappen on the outside line, Perpetuum trying to cut across. In the meantime, Schiaparelli and Jojo are battling for the race lead, the net race lead out on track. Schiaparelli now through, and he's into the net race lead, but now Jojo is going to try and come back at him. They've got Nicholas right on the back as well. Drama here in Brazil. It's dry out on track as well. Goodness knows what it would have been if it was wet conditions. But now, because of that, Verstappen down into 10th position. He's not actually nursing any front wing damage, I don't think, which is absolutely remarkable given the force he hit that wall on the right-hand side. But Perpetuum in 5th position, well, drama. Perpetuum actually might get a penalty for that. He's definitely going to the sewer, surely.
Yeah, I think we'll only be able to, as things stand at the moment, provisionally crown Perpetuum as the champion, because that did not look good at all. I know obviously on stream you had the outside view. I was on board with Verstappen. Verstappen didn't move his wheel whatsoever. Perpetuum's tried to cut in front of him to try and take the racing line and severely misjudged how much of Verstappen's car was still alongside him. Very lucky that he didn't spin himself round. Very lucky that Verstappen didn't get damaged, but I imagine the Alfa Romeo driver will be absolutely fuming in his helmet at the moment, because a bit like Lando, chances of a good result. Lando's looked as though it was his own fault, but Verstappen completely innocent party of that. Chances of a really good result heading out the window all of a sudden. On those older tyres, it might be difficult for him to catch back up.
Yeah, which is an absolute shame, I think, for Verstappen. I know he's recording his POV, so that's probably been caught from his own end as well. Schiaparelli, though, leading Jojo in second, Nicholas in third. Pretty much the top three now have it between themselves, I would say. Laser, though, under pressure from Matthias and under pressure from a recovering Lando as well. And Lando will be hoping to try and get past these two. He's got slightly older tyres than Matthias, but he's got the same amount of tyres in terms of lap life than Laser in 5th position. But Matthias right on the back of Laser. This is really important, remember, because both of these guys are only covered by like 5 points in the championship, I think, coming into tonight. So Matthias will be hoping to try and get Laser and try and hang on to that second position in the standings. Laser, of course, will take third from Medium Pilot, who's not here. Laser, though, on the back, or under pressure, I'd say, from Matthias. 1.8 seconds in the meantime. Battle for the lead. Jojo and Schiaparelli 0.3 of a second. Armadine now is dropping down past Bianchi. Bianchi through on a fresh set of softs, and he's through, and he's into 9th. Drama here in Brazil, but we've still got 14 laps worth to go, and goodness knows what we can unfold and see in between that time.
Yeah, who knows what could happen at the moment. I expect Perpetuum to maybe start catching up to Nicholas and Jojo. Well, I say that, they're going to get the DRS off the back of Schiaparelli, obviously, because Perpetuum on fresher tyres than Jojo and Nicholas. So he'll probably pull away from Laser and maybe try and get himself up to the back of that. I'm interested to see how Bianchi does on his soft tyres. He's got 12% on the rears at this moment in time, and the rears will take a bit more of a hammering in the final sector. Lots of slow corners. He should sail up to the back of Verstappen. It's when he gets onto the back of Laser, Matthias and Lando, will he still have enough grip on those soft tyres to work his way through? A, can he work his way through it all? And B, how quickly can he work his way through if he wants to get higher up the order? As Matthias there, straight down the inside of Laser, not a lot that McLaren could do with less fresh tyres and no DRS. And that is Matthias up into 5th place, looking very good at the moment to take that runner-up slot in the championship.
Yeah, really good indeed, and Laser's coming under pressure from Lando as well. Lando was actually trying to fill in for the Racing Point and Medium Pilot, of course. Combi's all the way down in 13th position. Racing Point doing quite well in terms of the constructor standings. Williams, of course, still that 1-2 between Schiaparelli and between Jojo out on track. Nicholas, though, is trying to keep on in there. Lando runs wide, coming out through turn number 7, and now in towards turn number 8, the highest point of the track, of course, at the Autodromo of Jose Carlos Pache. Schiaparelli leads, Jojo second, Nicholas third, 2/3 of the way through. Perpetuum in 4th. Is there slight inroads beginning to get there for Perpetuum? He's slightly caught, only about a 10th or 2 of a second on the back of Nicholas. But surely the fresher tyres are going to come into play. I think, honestly, I'll put a prediction in there now. Perpetuum will be on the back of these with 5 laps to go.
Oh yeah, I think certainly he's going to be closing into them. In the next few laps, I think we could see a difference. And Jojo and Nicholas maybe drop back from Shapalele, and that could be what causes the problems for them. As long as they've got Shapalele within a second of them giving Zhao Zhao DRS, and obviously Nicholas getting it off the back of the second Williams, that might negate any tyre advantage, because you saw it was 2.1 seconds heading into Young Sao as Noon retires in the pits. That's big news for the Constructors' Championship from Red Bull's point of view. Perpetuum's now 2.7 behind. I don't think all of that was DRS, so I wonder if he outbrakes himself ever so slightly, but he knows he's got to push to get himself up the order. He is on for a podium at the moment because Nicholas has 3 seconds of penalties. I'll be surprised if Perpetuum doesn't get a penalty added at the end of the race, which means Matthias might end up beating him. Will he beat him by enough, though? It's a completely different question. Lots of things to happen in the final 11 and a bit laps here.
Yeah, Shapalele leading Zhao Zhao in second, Nicholas in third. Noon's AI is coming out through the yellow flag zone through sector 1 and 2. Shapalele leading the way, Zhao Zhao in second, and both of these Williams, of course, trying to get away as much as possible from this Renault in third position. In the meantime, though, we'll cut to Lando on the back of Laser, and Lando now is going to try and pressurise Laser up in towards turn 1, the racing point against the back of the McLaren, but still 5th, 6th and 7th, Matthias, Laser, and then Lando. Lando still on the back, trying desperately to try and recover from that spin that he had at turn 10 a couple of laps ago. But Matthias, Laser, Lando. Laser will try to pinpoint the target in front of him. Matthias in 5th. Matthias and Laser, both of these guys, of course, very close in the standings coming into tonight. We'll be hoping. The man to watch out for, though, possibly, could be Bianchi. On a set of soft compound tyres, he's already on the back of Verstappen. Those tyres will be going towards the end of the race. Can they get to the end first and foremost? And can he get past Verstappen on this lap?
Yeah, I think they will get to the end. It's just by the end of the race, it will be as worn as those on Lando, Verstappen and Laser. So I think he really has got to try and get past Verstappen as soon as possible, either into the Senna S or into Decido de Largo. Otherwise, he might find it a bit tricky as the laps go on. When you get stuck in the dirty air and you start overheating your tyres, any advantage could just fall out the window for him. But he's got to have the DRS this time around. He is quite a long way back from Verstappen, and they are both fairly even on the ERS. So this is all about just getting it set up through the Senna S for the Mercedes driver, keeping it nice and tidy as Verstappen locks up ever so slightly and still makes the apex. But no, Bianchi just too far behind to have a go this time around all of a sudden. And I'll tell you what, Perpetuum, he's not catching up to Nicholas, and he's now picked up a 3-second time penalty all of a sudden. So this brings Matthias and Laser potentially ahead of him at the end of the race.
It does indeed, and yeah, Matthias and Laser pretty much his two championship rivals coming into tonight could be the ones that are actually outscoring him out on track. Lando, as well, is not too far off the pace. Don't think he'll get ahead of the likes of Matthias and Laser coming into tonight, but Lando was hoping to try and get past the man on track, certainly, although he's got a 3-second time. In terms of Perpetuum's tyres, actually, 35% worth of tyres, compared to Nicholas's tyres, 54% now on that front right tyre. The front right really takes a hit around here, of course, in Brazil. I'm really surprised. Does he genuinely not have the pace?
I wonder if he's taking it steady, or it is just
DRS.
Is he a bit slow in the straight line all of a sudden? Nicholas picks up another time penalty as Bianchi now sails past Verstappen. He looks as though he was catching ever so slightly, and I think he made one mistake into the Senna S, and whether he's not, I can't imagine he's not pushing. He wants to obviously finish on the podium, get as many points as possible, because at this moment in time he's finishing behind Matthias and Laser, and he might be thinking, I've got a potential penalty hanging over my shoulders of 5-10 seconds, whatever it could be. He needs to be careful, because let's say there is a late safety car all of a sudden, that 5 or 10 seconds penalty that could get added on becomes a lot more important all of a sudden. So if I was him, I'd be trying to definitely push my way up the order, knowing that Zhao Zhao and Nicholas' tyres are older than me, and I might have a chance of getting them at the end of the race.
But looking at Perpetuum's ERS and looking at Perpetuum's fuel, at this moment in time, he is better in terms of Nicholas on both fronts. 49% of ERS, 23% for Nicholas out on track. But more importantly, Perpetuum has got 1.43 laps of fuel left. In terms of laps of fuel for Nicholas, 0.66. And I think because he is losing the time, it's purely because Nicholas is stuck in a DRS train for the lead of the race. It's as simple as that. I think Perpetuum is dropping down. He only gained about 2-3 tenths, and Nicholas running down in towards the Sea of the Largo, but you can see Perpetuum just that gap ebbing away. And the more that Nicholas stays on the back of Giorgio and Schiaparelli, the more time he is going to lose. And the more threat he could be under pressure from Matthias, Laser, maybe even Bianchi right at the end of the race as well.
Yeah, it's possible. I'm surprised. Perpetuum, like you said, 1.5 laps extra of fuel. There's only 8 laps to go. You're not burning through all that fuel unless you drive around in rich mode 100% of the time. And you do that, your engine's overheating, and there's no point in having the extra fuel. So, very surprised indeed by Perpetuum at the moment. Whether he is just taking it very nice and steady, I'm not so sure. But Matthias is catching him up. Laser and Lando being dragged along as well. Like you said, Bianchi, maybe even Verstappen hanging in there. All of a sudden, things could get very tasty towards the end of the race. 7 laps to go, though. Still Schiaparelli leading from Giorgio. We've got a yellow flag in sector 2. I think that was Kuhn Blaise, who's just maybe had a slight off all of a sudden. No harm done, but Williams 1-2. Renault in 3rd place. Champion-elect Perpetuum still in 4th position, but Matthias just eking a 10th or 2 out of that lap. He could get within DRS range in the next 3 or 4 laps, and that could lead us to a very tasty finale.
It could lead us indeed to a very tasty finale. You have got the box seats right in the house. Or if you're on the go, then you're on the go. Simple as that. Schiaparelli leading, Giorgio second, Nicholas in third, Perpetuum in fourth. 4.4 seconds now over Nicholas to Perpetuum. Matthias, Laser and Lando, though, still stuck in this battle for fifth. And Matthias will be hoping on that 3-lap pressure tyres and about 10% pressure tyres as well. He'll be hoping to try and get away, but Laser and Lando are the thorns in his side who really cannot give him any just out on track. They're not letting them get away, and that's important as well, as Giorgio has actually lost in his spun coming through at Jun Sao.
Yeah, just saw the end of that. Thankfully for him, he's not spun fully and the game hasn't reset him to track, but that's maybe that might wake Perpetuum up all of a sudden. He's now got a target that can see. It's the rabbit in the headlights for the Ferrari all of a sudden, and Lando goes past Laser down the inside. Good move into 6th.
Yeah, lovely job there from Lando. Laser now down into 7th, as you say, but Lando through and he's into 6th, and now he's got another target in Matthias, and now Lando suddenly has just came all alive out on track, and now he's really beginning to push in on Matthias out on track. We're not been towards Ferradura for the 31st time out on track. Schiaparelli now leads, Nicholas second, Giorgio in third, Perpetuum in fourth. Kuhn Blaise, by the way, came into the pit lane. I'm not sure if he had a puncture possibly out on track, which causes him to pit. But Lando, Matthias, 5th, 6th, and Laser now down to 7th. Bianchi's 1.8 seconds off, and do you know what? Bianchi and Verstappen now beginning to get dragged along into this. They're catching the guys, Matthias, Lando, and Laser, and you would imagine that Bianchi has probably got all the tyres towards the end of the race compared to the guys ahead. Now is the time to use it all up. Now is the time to attack and try and get onto the back of Laser, Lando, and of Matthias in 5th position. But Laser now under pressure, or Lando I should say, Lando trying to pressurise Matthias, run up the hill in towards turn 1. He's not close enough up in towards turn 1. British flag there waving in the background for Lando to try and get past the Austrian. Now he's got an insane run coming out through turn 2, then through turn 3 at the centre S's, and now he's going to have a go. We'll right on board with him as he comes now down the straight. I don't think he's going to be close enough into the seat of the Largo, but Matthias looking behind and probably seeing there's a big threat.
Yeah, what could help out is the difference in tyre life for some of these drivers. Matthias, he's got about 7% pressure on his fronts, about 10% on the rears. So Lando's, we're talking mid-60s for his front tyres at the moment. A driver who could be in trouble if he's not bothered Bullet Boy's fantastic not getting puncture skills. I couldn't think of a better way to put that. Is Vapor Nicholas, 72% on that front right at the moment. We all know anything above 70, there's a chance. It goes up as the tyres get over, but anything above 70%, there is a chance of a puncture. Giorgio, in fact, everyone who pitted under the VSC, maybe even Bianchi as well, who pitted early for the soft tyres, is probably going to be in with a slim chance of getting a puncture here. There could be some very late race drama. I think a man who's not going to be involved in it all, though, is our race leader. 2.5 seconds ahead, just taking it nice and easy at the moment, as Verstappen fighting back with Bianchi.
Yeah, he tries to go around the outside of turn 1. They're still side by side coming out through the centre S's, and Bianchi's on the inside line, but Verstappen, shoot, he's going to have the run on the outside line. And in fact, Bianchi's got the DRS. He's on the inside line, the Italian, against the Dutchman. Tries to see around the outside, but Bianchi, really good driving, really good respect between them both there. Bianchi hangs on, but now Verstappen right on the back. He's got slightly older tyres than Bianchi, but he's going to try and put up a fight. And in fact, just loses 0.4 of a second as I say that. But Bianchi still in P8, Verstappen in P9. I'm indeed not entirely out of this either. 2.4 seconds off, and these two really begin to battle out on track, then it will cause effect. Nicholas is losing time to Schiaparelli, and that's because his front right tyre is on 76%. I will tell you now, Nicholas is going to puncture before the end of this race.
How many drivers did we say that about last week? Schiaparelli was 90% or something, I think, his mediums towards the end at Mexico. It just shows how you can't predict anything. And also, obviously, because Nicholas and Zhao Zhao both dropped outside of DRS range when Zhao Zhao had that spin, that gave Schiaparelli the chance that he needed. And Nicholas picks up another penalty. I think that's 11 seconds. Now, obviously, 5 of them being for a pit lane speeding penalty, so he's going to drop quite a bit down the order. Kuhn Blige setting fastest lap of the race. He'll be able to get a point for that, and it's great to see that he's just carried on despite everything that happened to him in this race as he manages to pick up a 3-second tyre penalty. He's kept on going because you never know what could happen, and if there's some late punctures at just the wrong points, he might finish a bit higher than 14th.
Zhao Zhao looks in trouble as well. That rear right is beginning to go. 76% all of a sudden. Verstappen 74. Lando 73. Laser 72. We're talking about possibly on, and Nicholas has gone off. He's got a puncture. That rear right has gone. Nicholas's rear right has gone, and that could be a warning sign to the rest of the guys in behind. Zhao Zhao now has got to be very careful on that tyre. That rear right has just punctured. For Nicholas, he's dropping all the way down the field, and now Zhao Zhao in second, Perpetuum down into the third position. They're up into the positions, but Schiaparelli is going to absolutely excel out on track. He's 5 seconds clear. I don't see him getting punctured at all. Running down in towards as Nicholas picks up a 10-second time belief exceeding track limits. That's just ridiculous. Now Perpetuum right on the back of Zhao Zhao. The Dane and the German, really good rivals here in TTML. Is he going to look to the inside line, Perpetuum? No. Penultimate lap of the race, and if that's a warning sign to Nicholas, I did say he was going to puncture. I did say the front right. It was the rear right in the end, but now Zhao Zhao was going to be so careful in terms of his tyres as Perpetuum tries to go over the outside through Ferradura.
Yeah, Perpetuum, I'm surprised he's rushing for this at the moment. I wouldn't want to be that close to the back of Zhao Zhao when you know he's got old tyres and you've just seen Nicholas go all of a sudden. This is why I was surprised when everyone came in under the virtual safety car that they all put the medium tyres on, because I said before the race you don't want to do more than 22, 23 laps on them, and I think that was Nicholas's 22nd lap on the tyres. He's going to put the softs on. Perpetuum getting very close to the back of Zhao Zhao here. This should be a straightforward move. With the DRS, of course, Zhao Zhao's using as much overtake mode as possible. Perpetuum not going into overtake yet. He's got the DRS open. Is he going to send one down the inside into turn 1? So much more grip on those tyres. Perpetuum up into second. We are on the final lap of the race.
I can only apologise for that awful, awful camera angle that the game presented me with there. Perpetuum up into second, Zhao Zhao into third. Matthias is through on Lando, actually. We forgot to say that. Matthias is through into fourth on Lando. I think Lando was trying to get through there down in towards the Cedar of the Largo, but puncture territory could be quite close for Zhao Zhao. And in fact, I thought I saw a slow puncture on that rear right, but I might be wrong. Schiaparelli leading, Perpetuum in second, Zhao Zhao in third. Zhao Zhao's being so careful now with those tyres. He doesn't want to drop out of 3 seconds, but he's got to try and push as much as possible. That man there, though, the German, Schiaparelli, in one of his best races of this season, is around the final technical corner at Junsao.
Oh.
Now up the hill through 13, through 14, and has Zhao Zhao got a puncture? No.
Perpetuum went off slightly there. Sorry to interrupt. Perpetuum just went off. Schiaparelli takes the victory.
Perpetuum across the line in second. I was going to say, goodness me, Zhao Zhao will get second though out on track. Perpetuum might get more penalties as well. Matthias loses out by Perpetuum. Third, fourth, and fifth. The nearest rivals out on track in terms of the championship. Third, fourth, and fifth in the end. Bianchi in sixth. Verstappen in seventh. Cosby in eighth. Lando in ninth. Combi 10th. Ahmadine 11th. We've got Kuhn Blige coming across the line to set the fastest lap in 14th. Dobby now across the line in 12th. And Nicholas across the line to finish in 13th. He could get the fastest lap of the race on this lap. But I'm sure we will get confirmation about Perpetuum. Is he the champion?
He is the champion. All he needed to do, once Matthias didn't get pole position, was get the podium. That's barring any penalties. Although, looking at it, I think he'd need to get something like a 20... He'd basically need to get disqualified, I think, for his crash with Verstappen, which is not going to happen. So Perpetuum is the champion. He's been so consistent all season, and it is just another podium for him. His lowest finish all year has been 12th. A very deserved champion, but it was just coming from Magulio on the final lap, he headed towards the wall. I don't know whether it was a bit of desync from my point of view, but it looked as though he was just understeered off, or maybe had to catch a bit of oversteer, and I was worried that Perfection was going to end up binning it on the final lap.
And he didn't bin it in the end. He finishes third for now, but whether we see any penalties given remains to be seen. But out on track, a great win for Schiaparelli. He does the moonwalk. I don't know what that sort of dance is from Schiaparelli at the top step of the podium, and he absolutely deserves it. What a fantastic drive from Schiaparelli. Zhao Zhao capping off a 1-2 for Williams in the reverse order from when they started, and Perpetuum, of course, finishing in third. Matthias fourth and later in fifth, but more importantly, we say it now, Perpetuum is your Season 3 TTML Division 1 champion.
Yeah, he's done a fantastic job, as we said all season. That run of pole positions at the start, only one win so far this year. I'm sure he'll be hoping to get a second one next time out at Abu Dhabi, but there's been so many other drivers. I think it is only Medium Pilot who's had multiple victories so far this season. That shows how close the field has been. We've seen that in qualifying. It's all about keeping it clean, attending every race, finishing every race, and picking up the points. And Perpetuum, he's done that better than everyone. Schiaparelli, though, one of the most dominant victories I think we've seen all season.
Yeah, really dominant in the end. Zhao Zhao in second, of course, for Williams. Perpetuum in third. Matthias in fourth. Laser in fifth. Bianchi in sixth. Good drive from him. Verstappen in seventh. Carlsbury, ordered driver today by the in-game fans, in eighth. With Lando in ninth. Combi ran off the top 10. Ahmadine 11th. Dobby from 20th on the grid up to 12th. Good drive from him. Nicholas in 13th. The stalwart of the day has got to go to Kuhn Bly in 14th, picking up extra points for him. Nicholas, by the way, stole the fastest lap off him by 8 tenths per second in the end. Noon, Mashiro, Bullet Boy, Lemon, Volbeek and Recon all out of the race. Recon didn't even make it through the first couple of corners without a little bit of drama. But Schiaparelli wins, Zhao Zhao in second, Williams now back in the fight, possibly for fourth in the Constructors' standings. But Perpetuum is your TTML Division 1 champion. And are we going to try and get all three of them in?
We'll try. I think we'll be successful with two. I imagine our champion might be too busy screaming in delight, unfortunately, to come and join us. But just reading the Discord here, and a lot of the drivers, I think, who went for the mediums under the VSC were thinking, as soon as I did that, I realised it wasn't the right move. It's a big stretch to do all of a sudden. And you saw as soon as Zhao Zhao and Nicholas dropped outside of DRS, they were losing half a second a lap to Perpetuum and Schiaparelli. Obviously, Nicholas, the one unlucky driver to get a puncture. Everyone else was able to just keep the tyres going, but they probably felt absolutely dreadful at the end, and one more lap could have ended with a completely different result. But a 1-2 for Williams. I think they're the only team apart from Racing Point and Ferrari to get a 1-2 this season.
Zhao Zhao's saying they were vibrating, the tyres that he's on about. They were vibrating like they already exploded. So that's what he was like in the final couple of laps. And he lost like 2 seconds on the final lap as well. So goodness knows if there was a 37th lap around here, what it would have done out on track. But I know we're going to get Schiaparelli, I know we're going to get Zhao Zhao hopefully in. Lando as well saying he thinks that he threw away a podium big time after that mistake at the top of the hill at turn 10. I definitely think so as well. So unfortunate for Lando, but he recovered well and finished within the top half of the field, which is really good to see. And Lando saying it should be hopefully be better after next week. But yeah, it was a nice chase, and that was response to Matthias having that battle with him. And Laser congratulating Perpetuum on the championship, well deserved. Been great all season. But while we wait for our 2 interviewees, maybe 3 interviewees hopefully, to come into the party, we will remind you, of course, what's coming up further this week. Tomorrow night, it is EML F1 and F2. Going to be taking you through the action for F1 is, of course, I forgot. I'm taking you through F2. And F1 is who?
Aiden Carter.
Aiden Carter. And Pepsi Freak, I think, if I'm not mistaken. Goodness me, I need to remember who's commentating on what. I've been doing the commentaries for the commentary lineup for season 4 as well. Goodness me. Yeah, I'll be taking you through the action, of course, tomorrow night for EML F2 as well. So if you're in that league, good luck. You've got me once again this week because Daniel Huggard, he's getting his internet fixed. And that means on Thursday, you're going to have me as well, I'm afraid, for Division 2 alongside Ivor Bryn, Michael Edwards, of course. Division 3 is Aiden Carter-Conti. Division 4, myself and Paco Suarez. Can't get rid of me on this channel, honestly. Division 5 is James Boyle and NSR Pariah. But we have got somebody that has joined us in the party. I missed who it was. I think it was Zhao Zhao that might have joined us. P2 man, of course, out on track. And you said in the Discord, Zhao Zhao, that your tyres felt like they exploded on the final lap. They were 84% on the rear right. How on earth did you get them not to puncture?
I don't know. Just driving slow.
But talk us through that race, because you pitted, of course, into the VSC. In hindsight, was that the wrong decision from you, or do you always felt like you would have got P2 no matter what?
No, I was actually, when I did it, I was like, the second I did it, I was like, why did I do that? I just saw VSC and then I just pitted. I wasn't even thinking. Yeah. It was not the way I wanted it.
Yeah, you did get to the end of the race, though, which is really good to see. Unlike Nicholas, who punctured, of course, in front of you, just what was that sight with Nicholas puncturing in front of you?
Yeah, I saw him going off the track, and yeah, I was just praying that they didn't puncture. I couldn't do anything else.
Well, it didn't puncture, and you got P2, and it must be very pleasing as well to have a first 1-2 of the season for Williams.
Yeah. That's good.
He's not a man of many words, is he? Hopefully Luke can get more out of you. Luke, go ahead.
I think I need to check on a map how far away Denmark is from Finland, but I know it's not very far, so that explains it all. Talk us through what happened when you had a small moment in the race coming up the hill out of Youngsdal when you were in second place just behind Chapel. Was it just did you catch the curb on the outside and that caused you to have a half spin, which thankfully in the end, from your point of view, didn't cost you any positions?
Yeah, I was like I wrote in the Discord, I wasn't really in the mood to race today, so I wasn't really, like with the pit stop, wasn't thinking about that, just did it. When I made the mistake, I don't even know what caused it, and I didn't even register at all when I did it. Only 2 seconds after I did it, so I don't really know what happened, but yeah, it was just a mistake from my side, I think.
And final question from me. You've been having problems with your controller. I think you borrowed one from a friend tonight. Are you planning to have a brand new one ready for next week?
Yeah, if it all goes to plan, then I'll get it somewhere this week.
And that's the end of my questions, James.
It's a good job he doesn't live over here, because I've tried to get a PS4 controller for months now, and I can't find it because they're all out of stock. Terrible.
I'll send you one.
Yeah, you can send me one if you like. I don't mind. Both of mine are going anyways, so it'll be very much appreciated. But final question from me. Abu Dhabi, of course, next week. How do you think you're going to get on?
Podium, maybe. I don't know. Not my best track, but I'm not shit at it, so it's probably going to be an okay result.
Well, apologise for his language. The choice word that he said. I'm sure you didn't notice it, but we did, sadly. But go and enjoy your evening. Second place for you, and we'll see you next week, of course.
Yeah, see you. Thank you.
And now we'll move on to the man who dominated the race, his old mate, Schiaparelli. And Schiaparelli, we'd never find yourself in a position like this. You've actually won a race.
Yeah, I was quite lucky, I think, because I did no practice at all, and then Jojo pitted too early. I thought first he was going on hards because of the VSC, but then I saw him on mediums and know exactly that he wouldn't make it comfortably, so I knew I had it in back. And then he spun and made it even easier, so yeah.
I think, honestly, if he didn't spin, I think you would have commanded the race anyways. But just talk us through that battle, because Jaja was getting quite close to you on occasion. Nicholas was in behind as well. Did you ever feel a threat from your own teammate?
I think he didn't want to overtake me, because he was not going to make it to the end and was just going to stay behind in my DRS, save tires a bit, I think. And so I wasn't too worried, but I was still using quite a bit DRS, so yeah.
Yeah, and it was, of course, really good from that perspective as well. 1-2 for Williams as well after tonight's race. That must fill you both up with a lot of happiness.
I mean, yeah, I bottle every week, so it's nice to have a change.
It is. It's very nice to have a change. I'm not sure what's changed in the waters, maybe. I don't know. Luke Etheridge, any questions?
Yeah, just got one. When were you ever thinking about pitting under the VSC, or were you always committed to sticking to your normal strategy?
No, the hearts are pretty. Wait, if I pitted, I would have pitted on hearts, but they are pretty garbage, so I didn't think I would pit.
What's it like to get your not only first win of the season, first podium? Like you've put on some pretty good performances so far this season. You've had a few top fives, but finally getting onto the top step must give you a lot of confidence.
Yeah, I didn't practice for the last races and this one as well, so I'm not really expecting anything any week. But yeah, this season is just gone for me. And now I'll focus on EML, and yeah.
And that's the end of my questions.
And final question from me before we end off the stream, of course. Abu Dhabi next week. Are you going to go into there with no practice and get another win?
No, I don't think I'll. It's a two-step, so I don't think I will get that lucky again. Or you can do one step, I think, but maybe. No, I'm not that good at that track, so nah.
You never know. Wishful thinking might get you somewhere. That's what you're going to think. Always come into it thinking you're not going to win, and then you do turn up here somehow in the podiums interviews, which is brilliant.
Yeah, I think that's my strat now.
Go on, enjoy your evening, though, and we'll see you next week.
Thank you.
Very welcome indeed. And that is the end then for TTML Division 1 here in Brazil. What a privilege it was to hear from Schiaparelli and from Jiao Jiao as well. Luke, have we had any thoughts from Perpetuum as well on the Discord?
I'm going to have a quick look. I don't believe we have. He's a man of fewer words than Jiao Jiao, I believe, most of the time. In fact, I don't think I've ever seen Perpetuum post anything of it. I'm not even sure I'm inviting the right account. I'm going to be 100%. He's just got the generic PSN profile picture, which doesn't fill me with confidence. But yeah, Perpetuum, unfortunately, not joining us. And I do believe, as a point to end on, do believe that the Constructors is still open. I think Ferrari might have pulled away ever so slightly from Red Bull and Racing Point, but that continues on to Abu Dhabi.
It does indeed. Drivers' Championship might be done. Battle for second is going to be really on, though, in terms of the standings next week. And we'll get all the championship permutations for that, I hope, next week as well. Verstappen, by the way, and Perpetuum having a bit of a conversation within the Discord. Perpetuum apologising. It's worth a penalty, I guess, he says. So, maybe backing up what we said, of course, in commentary. Verstappen's not really bothered to report it. So, there we are. That's just the life and blood of sim racers right there. But that is the end for TTML Division 1 tonight here in Brazil. And I really hope you have enjoyed tonight's action. A year since we went into lockdown here in the UK, and a year that nobody will ever forget. But we can forget it because we can focus on vaccinations here in the UK and the wondrous job that our NHS, of course, does day in, day out, 365 days a year and 7 days a week. Luke, I will cross to you though for your final thoughts. Who was your driver of the day?
I think there's only one person I can really go for. Once again, I'm going for the dull, obvious choice. Schiaparelli qualified in second place, kept it nice and calm, and wasn't tempted by the VSC pit stop. And it was that decision, more than anything, that got him the victory today.
Yes, and fantastic, of course. I think Schiaparelli definitely awarded Driver of the Day for me as well. But as I say, that is the end tonight. We have reached the end of TTML Division 1. And lo and behold, I'm going to be here for the next 3 nights on the trot. So don't think you're getting rid of me, and don't think Tom's getting rid of me as well on Thursday either. But for the penultimate time this season, I've been James Head.
I've been Luke Etheridge.
Please take care of yourselves in this crazy world we all live in, and we will see you next time.
These are childhood dreams. It's how we used to be. When we were kings and queens in our childhood dreams. Oh, 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 oh. Our childhood dreams. I feel so lightweight when I think back to those days. But then we went our own ways. I'm thinking about what needs to change, that we could turn back the page and live like our favorite fairy tales. So a love so freeing, but what of our fantasies? Digging up treasures and sailing across the sea. These are our childhood dreams. It's how we used to be when we were kings and queens in our childhood dreams. Oh, 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 our childhood dreams. Our childhood dreams, it's how it used to be when we were kings and queens in our childhood dreams.
Every weekend is the same. I'm the one you try to claim. Yeah, I already know about your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. Call me up with no shame. All your words sound the same. Yeah, I already know about your game, but I'm not the one to sit around and be played. If you come around just to play me,